Hi, Genki Call here with your Soulforge offerings for the week of September 5th, 2022. Before we get started, I haven't looked what's in here yet, but I can show you what's coming up in the next weeks. So these are the remaining Soulforge mythics in this mythic cycle. Many thanks to King Ollie, as always, for this list. It is so valuable. If you look at what's in the Soulforge right now and you're trying to decide whether to craft something or not, be sure to take a look at this list and see if there's something here that you want more, because these will be coming up in the next few weeks, and then we'll start a new mythic cycle. So anyway, back to the list. Here we go. Ba-da! Let's see what's in here. First, I have to see if Centurigon is here. Like I said, I have not. I've not looked at what's in here, so unfortunately no Centurigon. I keep looking because I want to be able to mention it for those that don't have it yet, because it's such a good troop. Alright, so the things. The legendaries. Moloch. Drain all mana from an enemy, deal true damage boosted by the mana drain. So if they have 10 mana that you drain, you get an extra 10 true damage. So he's an okay troop. As far as legendaries go, it's not that great. You do get the bonus red mana from red gem matches, which is of course always nice, but he's kind of a forgettable legendary. I actually literally forgot that he existed. Now we've got the bunny nog. Ah, Monty Python. Damage to an enemy. If the enemy is a knight, deal double damage, and there's a 50% chance to devour knights. So great if you're fighting in Sword's Edge, but skull damage reduction, start battles for 50% mana, and deal 5 times skull damage versus knights. That's pretty awesome. It's so funny too. The Monty Python reference is just fantastic. Gawk and Good, it's just, you just don't know what he's gonna do. Either or. Not my kind of troop. You get extra gold, so if you want to use him on a gold farming team and you don't have a good way to gain gold otherwise, and you don't want to use a leprechaun, maybe you could put him on a team, but Wrath, Wrath is part of my favorite skull spamming team, the Skull Waterfall team by Artless X Arts. So this guy is not notable because he is a double mana converter with skulls, or because he enrages all allies and burns all enemies. The reason he's notable is because he explodes 2 random gems when he does skull damage. You put him on a team with Scylla and the Possessed King with Lightning Strike class and your weapon, and it's called the Skull Waterfall team for a reason. It's fantastic. I did a video on the team. It's called Boom Max Fun. I'll link that in at the end. There will be a thumbnail at the end of this video if you want to check that out. As far as these legendaries go, and I say this every week, and I'll continue to say so for those that are new coming to the channel, generally speaking, it's not going to be worth spending 800 diamonds to get a legendary. You're gonna get all the legendaries. It can be, not that it can be, it is much more difficult to get the mythics than the legendaries, and it's best to save those diamonds for either weapons or the mythics. None of these, I would say, is something to go out of your way to craft unless you're just dying to do the Skull Waterfall team. It's a lot of fun, but it's very situational. So, another reason you might want to spend the diamonds would be if you are power level blocked because you need a level 20 troop for a kingdom. But besides that, I wouldn't recommend crafting any of these. So these guys are always here. Ah, look at these guys. Haha. All right. let's go over the mythics now. So Draakulis, I think he's a lot of fun, especially for delving. Steal life from all enemies. He's stealing their life and adding it to his own. And it's every single enemy. And it really adds up, especially when you're doing delves. He's a lot of fun to use, in my opinion. I like to throw him at the front of the team as a tank. He does have a little bit of skull damage reduction. He gains life when he does skull damage, and he has these immunities. So I personally like to run him with an undead team. Anything that does true damage along with him is just, I just think he's fun. Would I recommend crafting him? Maybe if you're just dying to do it, but or to play with him. But again, remember the troops that are coming up and whether or not you want to spend this kind of diamonds on him. I really don't see anything here that's not always here like Zolgoth. I don't see anything here worth spending your diamonds on mythic wise, as far as I'm concerned. War is the apocalypse troops are ones you really don't want to spend your diamonds on until you've got all of the other mythics, because getting these troops are not going to do anything for your power levels, and it's more important, in my opinion, to get your power levels up first. The apocalypse troops, they don't have a kingdom, so they're not going to help your power levels. This guy burns all enemies, does damage to an enemy boosted by his attack, and gains an extra turn if the enemy dies. He's okay. He's not amazing. He can be very useful if you can really boost that attack. Use him with Ethereal Sentry, and he's actually quite useful, but you know, it takes a while to get him buffed up to the point where he can take a level 12 um, enemy and one-shot him. So he does have a 50% chance to ignore armor with skull damage and reflects skull damage as well, but you know, again, he's an apocalypse troop, so I don't recommend crafting any of the apocalypse troops until after you have all of the others, and save Zethinos, who's always in here, for the very last one to do because he's not great. Scotty, the only thing really notable about Scotty is that she creates an ice storm at the start of every turn. Her magic does go up when an ally casts a spell, but it is 100% useless. This is a useless trait to have when this is not affected by magic. Your magic level for her could be 200 and it's not going to affect her spell, because this is straight up what it's going to do no matter what. Even if you have a 0 magic or level 200 magic, it's going to do the same thing. So this is totally useless. What were they thinking? She will summon Queen Mab, who can be useful, but in general, yeah, she's not a great mythic in my opinion. I very, very rarely use her, but she is the only way at this point to get a persistent ice storm at the start of every turn. Um, so yeah, she's okay. Undine, Undine can be fun-ish. He's okay. He would be good for Guild Wars maybe, but he does damage to an enemy and an enemy below, boosted by merfolk and submerged allies. He does submerge blue allies and silence blue enemies, so he could be useful on blue defense day, possibly. And he does submerge himself at the start of every turn. The problem is with Undine is that if you use him on blue defense, he's going to silence blue enemies. That's awesome. But he also submerges. He submerges the team. And the problem with that is Captain Macaw is also blue. So if your people attacking you on Guild Wars comes across this team, they can just insta-kill all of your troops with Captain Macaw. So keep that in mind. And Rage Kurandara is always here, so I feel like, yeah, is that it? Draakulis, War, Scotty, and Undine. Yep, that's it. 4 per week. So let's move on to the weapons. And I have to have all weapons because I keep getting weapon blocked. I don't want that to happen anymore. These are always here. The Blade of Sands. Damage to the last enemy. If there's a dust storm, remove all green gems and create a dust storm. That could be useful fighting Queen Beatrix or something like that, but that's a really weird... That's a really weird spell. It doesn't seem that useful to me personally, just reading it, but I have to have it. Have to have it. No more weapon blocking for me. Crystal Axe. This one does damage to an enemy boosted by monster allies, then create a mix of 6 green and brown gems for each monster ally. I must craft it. But it could be useful. And here's how to tell. So we're going to do a little teaching here. So we're talking monster allies. Let's sort by monster. Troop type, monster. Hello. Monster, I'm sorry, and then sort by green and brown and see what you've got here on your list that might use those colors. So does anything actually use green and brown? I will look at that in a minute, but these are all of the monster troops that use those colors. So using something, one of these that uses green, one that uses brown, that would work with the weapon. So, you know, this is how to tell whether or not it would be useful to you. And anyway, Erskine is in danger. I already have him at maxed out. Woohoo! Let's go back to what we were doing, and that is the Soulforge. Soulforge weapons. All right. Next up is the Dagger of Sands. This is one of the cheap 75 diamond offers. If you are needing a weapon for your power level, remove all yellow gems. Really nice if you want to maybe use this against the Wild King or a Divine Ishbala team, something that uses lots and lots of yellow. Deal damage to an enemy boosted by the gems removed. If the enemies from Drifting Sands or the battles in Drifting Sands, deal double damage. Must have, thank you. And let's see, these guys are always here. No curse breaker things. Always here, always here, always here. Just got that stone staff. Let's see what this is. Another 75 diamond one. Damage to an enemy, double damage if there's a dust storm, and creates a dust storm. What's significant about this particular epic weapon is that it self-enchants and it barriers you when you cast. So it's not terrible. Those are really, really good traits to have on here. Double damage is nice. Of course, there are tons of weapons that may be more useful, but if we're doing a Drifting Sands event, like we are now, it could be useful. Always here, just do the Doomed Axe. This is one of the doomed weapons that is, in my opinion, a must-have, because this is one of the doomed weapons that is useful even if you don't have it leveled up. So it does some damage to all enemies. That's not what we're worried about, though. Convert purple gems to doom skulls. It's very nice. It's very, very nice. Now, there is an alternative. Purple gems to doom... Oh, no, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. Scratch that. So, yeah, as far as doomed weapons go, any doomed weapon that creates doom skulls is going to be highly, highly useful. So, definitely one to get if you want the doomed weapons and that do doom skulls. It's a lot of diamonds, but it's absolutely worth it if you'll use it. So, next up, Stinging Wind. Oh, we have something else really significant here. Stinging Wind, this isn't the significant thing. I'll come back to that. Damage to an enemy boosted by Drifting Sands allies. Then create a mix of 6 yellow and brown gems for each Drifting Sands ally. This is a really useful type of weapon if you're using a Drifting Sands team. and therefore usually very good for events when we have to use only drifting sands. But yeah, that's a pretty good weapon. This is what is very significant here because you have to have the Scarab of Nefertani to craft Duskbringer. If you are planning to craft Duskbringer within the next 6 months, I recommend grabbing this because there's no telling when we're coming back here to Drifting Sands, and you have to have it. I don't even care about what it does. It's the fact that you have to have it for Duskbringer. So keep that in mind. You might want to grab this now if you're going to craft that anytime in the near future. But as for what it does, eliminate magic +1 to a random skill, then curse, death mark, and disease an enemy. So it's not a terrible weapon. It's not a terrible weapon. It's not fantastic, but as I said, you need it for Duskbringer. And these three weapons are not always are in the Soulforge, so you gotta grab these when they come up. And this is the one for Drifting Sand. So if you want it, grab it now. Next up, there's another good one here. Ooh, Sharp Fang. I like this weapon. I love this kind of weapon. It's my favorite. If you watch my channel, you know I love the things that explode and summon. So this one explodes brown gems, grants a random status effect to all monster allies, and summons a monster troop. It's the explosion and the summons that I care about. This random status effect is great, but you can use this with any kind of troop. It doesn't matter. It uses blue and green, and it's just super useful, this kind of thing. So, you might want to grab that one, but that is my personal preference, so I will leave that to you. That is everything I have for you. We've got some good weapons in here. Crappy mythics, but good weapons. I will be back with the world event teams for you in just a bit. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye!